Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Ferris Makes Emulators. Is this one? This is episode 62. I want to just continue on our Libretro stuff. I hadn't realized I've only actually done 2 other episodes working on this stuff, which makes me feel a bit better about the progress we've made so far. Although it actually has been pretty good. Basically, we haven't checked anything off this list per se, but there's been a lot of progress on particularly reducing allocations copies in the AV output chain and supporting all output pixel formats. At least we're supporting, still probably the only one, but setting things up to be able to support other ones. I figured we'd just continue on that today. Whoops, this is some stuff from the wrong project here. Hold on. I'm a professional. It's okay. Yeah. Libretro stuff. Okay. Cool. Let me bump this up as well. That should do it. I'm actually feeling like I need some music too, so let me set that up for myself. By the way, hi guys in the chat. Freeful, Zokwar, 8 Little Bits, SK Thess, Skeleton. Yeah, it looks like you're still subbed. That's awesome. Hey, Middle Voids. Hey, it's Karayan. That's awesome, Freeful. So I'm probably going to be listening to Virtual Self. What I feel like listening to right now. Hey, Mad Moose. Hey, Miss Visser. There we go. Virtual Self is Porter Robinson's homage to the early 2000s Alias. I'll just paste the album link because I really like this album. Okay. So if I remember correctly, do a couple things here. All right, that's a fine target. We're going to build, and then we're going to do -L with this, I think. Something like that. And there was another thing for verbose, I think, as well. Oh yeah, I need the content file as well. And of course, this is going to be a little crap, but that's fine. And we'll do Waria. Or that's the one. There we go. Yeah, this is good enough. Hey, Mr. Tobe. SK Thess, any news on that callback thread issue? Nope, I haven't looked into that further. It seems, though, that that's probably not going to be so much of an issue for us now that we're supporting multiple pixel formats anyway. I may still look into that at some point, but I'm a little less motivated to do so now that things are kind of working. There is still some weirdness, though. I think if I pause, for example, it seems to switch pixel formats but still use the same pixel data. That's totally crap. Don't know what that's about. But I have a feeling that as we fix some things to basically use the buffers, the output buffers that Libretro can give us, I think a lot of these problems will go away, at least for our core. Anyway, it seems to be working fine. And I think we were in the middle of... What were we doing? Yeah, see, I have that callback commented out now. I'm fairly certain. Been a couple weeks since I looked at this, but down here on the display function for the VIP, yeah. So here we're at least outputting the default pixel format here. The other ones aren't implemented currently, but these should actually be trivial to add. So I'll probably use that callback to request different formats for now as we're sitting here testing. And yeah, that shouldn't be too bad. Oh, don't they, 8 little bits? It's probably due to the cyan, for example, being electric cyan. If I probably did just blue, that might help. Yeah, no kidding, escape this. It'll probably happen while we're testing. But yeah. I'm actually just going to do that because there's not that many pixel formats here to test. So if I just do this, for example, this will probably crash. It's okay. We want it to crash. And it didn't. That's a bit concerning, isn't it? Probably that call didn't get through again. Or did I not build? Doesn't look like I built here. No, I think I did. There we go. That's what we expected to see. I know why this didn't crash, actually. It's because I think here we hard code the format here. Yeah, it also looks like we still allocate as much as the largest one. This is as, or actually no, because the format of this should be U16s. We'll just change this for now. U32s while we test this other one. It's not going to hurt. This is going to be, yeah, so now it doesn't like this. Which should be okay. Oh, yes, because this needs to be the right output format. And I think there's going to be another error here when we create it. Maybe not. Now it crashed, and that's okay, because here we have not yet implemented, and that's going to be hitting one of these code paths here. This one or this one. What's the difference here? Oh, yeah, this is whether or not we actually have output. So this case is obviously the easiest, because we should just be able to do this on all these cases. But I wonder if there's like a clear or set all to certain value function so we don't have to do the for pixel on all these, but let's just see. Yeah, clear is actually not what we want because we want to set all the values to a certain thing. Probably don't have anything here that will actually help us in this case, but it's not really bad because it's just a different, yeah, this is not enough syntax to really bug me. But we'll see. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Then that should be enough for this. And then we still need to actually do the output. In this case, I'll just copy this. This will be trivial. We also don't have any other formats, but that's also fine. So in this case, we don't shift these. U32s here. And this should be 16 and 8. That easy. Like that too. I guess I could do a map there, but then I kind of like this better than the map because I tend to like to, I'd rather, when I do map, I tend to like to use that with a pure function. So I would prefer to have it this way actually just so it looks more imperative. But yeah. That would be a fine way to do it, at least. Anyway, this should break like this half the time again, because again we're probably losing those calls. But I just need to see. I need to see it work, and I need to see in the output here that our set pixel format call went through. Yeah, there might be for each on iterators, probably. Yeah, that's the other thing. The map would actually we need to consume it. All right, so I'm just looking at the documentation. It says it's generally more idiomatic to use a for loop, so I'll actually just continue that. For each is more appropriate for longer iterative chains. Yeah, I'll actually just keep it as a for loop, but that's a good tip at least. But I'll keep it as a for loop just because docs say it's more idiomatic, so I'll just believe that. Man, this isn't working at all. Is this call getting through? As we should see. This is the issue that I mentioned previously. Okay, so it does actually say it sets the pixel format here. I wonder why this isn't working then. It's a bit odd, isn't it? I did change this too. Also, just changing the type here should have been enough for alignment. So this is actually really weird. Oh, is there a stride thing here? I bet there is. I bet here. Output bytes per pixel. Where's that? Yeah, size U16. That's the issue. Yeah, now it's looking wrong in the right way when it doesn't work. I'm not going to worry about getting these details that correct anyway, because I want to, again, switch to that. There's a environment callback you can get, so you'll just get the, or you'll have the emulator allocate a frame buffer for you, and you'll just draw into that. And I want to switch to that eventually anyway. But as far as I can tell, this appears to work. So that's that format done. Nice. And then here we can basically change all this back, except this one, because we want to set the final format. Which is going to be this 565 thing here. Apparently I called it something else. Ah, I only have this supported. Let me fix that then. Just add all these, because why not? Still want, even though these will still be like 0, 1, 2, I want to be explicit about this just because we're matching a C header. Yeah, and this is the final one. which should be 2 if I'm reading this right, and it is. Well, that should take care of that, and then this should crash. And it didn't. And that's probably because I'm still not requesting this format up down here again. There. There it goes. Now it crashes. All right, so this should basically be the same as this. It's going to be slightly different, though. Because we're actually going to do this. Instead of cyan, we're actually going to do this. Because we need shift right 2 for green and shift right 3 for blue, because we have another green bit here. And the last thing is this just becomes an 11. And does this become a 6? No, I don't think it does. I think we're good here. This is 10 plus 6, 16 bits. 5 plus 6 is 11. So I think we're good here. Now things are going to look a little bit messed up here, probably because it's got the format wrong. Again. It's not very good at this. Again, I'm hoping this isn't an issue when we've implemented everything. So here, it seems to be working, so we should see at the core set the pixel format. Where is it? Here. Or it says that for texture uploads. That may not be the right thing. Here it goes. There. Environment set pixel format RGB 565. And it looks correct. And we do get less flickering on the cyan bits, which is to be expected because there is more color depth there. And if I pause, it doesn't break either, which is also quite nice with this format. Nice, move away. Yeah, we want that to be fast. All right, so that's all the pixel formats. Done. Looks like I have some other stuff here too. Looks like I didn't finish committing the other changes. That's fine. What did we have all here? Sweet. I think I want to check that off the list now, actually. Yeah, I'll do that. Yep, we're done. See you guys later. No, just kidding. Because I would still love to set this up to take that other call. Because we've refactored everything so that we can support all the pixel formats, and we've refactored at least everything from the top level down. Doesn't do any buffer copies, which is really rad. Now we just need to make sure that we're not actually making our own output buffer, but instead, using one that the front end can give us. Now the downside is I think we actually have to support both, and that's annoying. Although there is actually one more thing I want to look into with this before we move on. And that's I'm fairly certain that when we call this set pixel format stuff, don't remember where we do that. Okay, so I call it in the callback thing. I think this actually returns whether or not it was successful. And I want to see if this says it's unsuccessful when it doesn't work. Because worst case, we can just get the result of this and perhaps either try later or just default to what we know the default format is, which that is known. So we could actually do that properly if we would like. If this gives us the right return code. Otherwise, we're still up shit creek. But let's investigate that. Callbacks here. Yeah, so here we have an environment callback. This does return a bool. We're just not returning it out of set pixel format. So this is easy. Also, I don't think we need to do this way. Maybe we do because of this. Probably. Although I don't think we need to do from raw here. I think we can just do box new. Just looking at some other code I have here. And I think... Actually, doesn't box have as pointer? It does as ref. Because then we can do this. That should probably work. Hey, 2D6 Tech. Yeah. Oh yeah, it needs to be mutable. Dirt. The box shouldn't get dropped until the end of the scope. As far as I know, Rust doesn't do that crap. Yeah. Now it's still... What is this? Yeah, now we're getting the wrong return value. Sweet. Yeah, I guess I don't need a box, do I? I can just take a reference to this, can't I? Why don't I just do that? Because then we can do mute here. Yeah, that's nice. It still doesn't like that cast. We can do this, though. I think that works. It's kind of annoying to have to double cast like that, but it's not too bad. And then... Oh, can I do two like that? Will that actually work? That's cute. Yeah, let's keep that. And then this, let's see. I want to do this. I'm actually going to panic when it doesn't work. Or actually, we'll just do this. And put lots of stars, because I just want to see when it didn't work. In fact, let's also print when it did work. That way we can see both. Because we'll know what the video output. So in this case, we should see that it didn't work. because I don't know if you guys could see it, but it's a screen faded. Yeah. So then we said, okay, so this is interesting because move away. I didn't use that because it needs to be a mutable reference, and I'd rather still take in a. I mean, I guess I could make that mute when you pass it because it takes ownership anyway, but nah, I'd rather not do that. Anyway, the screen faded in, and you guys probably couldn't see, but it has all the wrong colors, which means we had the wrong pixel format. But it did also say that that call didn't work. That might be a good sign. So I'm just going to run this a few more times and see if that... So again, it didn't work, and it says it didn't work. I want to see that when it does work, that the return value of that function was true. That's what I want to see here. Oh, it hasn't worked yet. Oh, it's so annoying. Because at least then we can be immune to whether or not it works. And I think that we need to... I think it's possible for the frame buffer thing to say that it won't work, so we probably need to support... like having a default format anyway. So yeah. Libretro does not choose the pixel format at random. It has a default one that it will use unless you ask for it to use another one, and it lets you. Okay, this is not helpful. You know, I actually wonder... Now that's not working at all. I'm going to actually change this code back to how he had it with the format. The code we had here before, by the way, was another guy did this. It was his first Rust project, so he messed around with some of this stuff and didn't necessarily know how this was supposed to work, which is fine, but I think he might have been onto something like this was a double pointer or some crap like that. I have no idea. I'm just wondering why this doesn't work now. So I just want to try at least having this call be the same as we had it, except now that we take the return value just to make sure that wasn't what that was. It's a bit tough to see because, okay, so now it worked first try, so that might actually be something, it might be something to that. And it did say it did work, so that's interesting. I'm going to run it a few more times because if it didn't work when we tried to set it with that call before, it might actually be that we gave it the wrong kind of pointer. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so in this case, that's interesting. It said it didn't work, and it didn't work. So at least it's telling us whether or not the call was successful. That's interesting, actually. A couple things in flight here, but let me see. I wonder if I can do something like this. So I didn't even try this. Okay, so that seemed to work the first try. All right, so this is interesting. It didn't work 3 times and then it did work. Like, I don't want to have a loop like this that just keeps trying to set it because it's not guaranteed that a given front end would support this. Remember that even though I'm only testing with RetroArch, we want this to be as compatible as possible with other front ends. So I could have like a retry count, which I would be comfortable with, but even then, it can still fail or just not be supported, so I wouldn't do anything more than a retry count. Anyway, change this comment here. We don't really need to do this here. Actually, we will need to do this check at least. So generally, they recommend that you use this format. So what our course should do is try to set this format. And if it can't do that, then it's just going to fall back to using the default one. Whoops. Whoops. Writing too much other languages these days. Yeah, so I think that's all we really need to do there. And in fact, what we could do is something like this. We'll do this. Desired pixel format is this one. And this will be the actual pixel format is like that. Because that'll be the default one initially, and then we'll just try to set it so many times. Didn't I break on success here? Pretty sure I did. Oh, crap, why didn't that work? Right, I need to make these pixel format things wherever the hell I put it. Here. We want copy, but copy needs clone, so we'll do that. And now it should be fine if we move this crap. Yeah, it's never read. That's fine. We'll get there. And I really want to comment on this as well. Yeah, that's a helpful comment. SK Test, now they mentioned it, does thinking in hardware change how you code? It changes how I code hardware. Not really how I'm working with software these days. That's probably just because a lot of the patterns I was using there are just so ingrained into my psyche now. It's just how it is. I think as well, I want to do something here. What was self here again? Is this the context? Yeah, we're going to do this. Oh, this is going to matter too, but this will actually be easy to change. In fact, we shouldn't be storing this eventually, but I think we'll have to support this as a fallback. Yeah. I I think I'll have to do what we did with the syncs in here, where we have a different kind of pixel buffer like this, but just one that owns this. So I'll probably just copy this, just make them owned, and that's probably fine. Yeah, exactly. 286 stack. Plus I've already done a lot of code in assembler and stuff like for a lot of years, so I don't know if it would really change that perspective for me very much in the first place. I'm gonna call this output buffer, this other enum here, because why not? The lifetimes we also don't need because these aren't going to be references. Just do it this way. I used to try to be really anal about like always using box slices or something for things that I know that I wouldn't change the size of. Now I just don't really care too much. Right, because now what we're going to do is we're going to have the context, instead of having the video output frame buffer, or at least instead of that being this type, it's going to be a output buffer. And we can again do this. Actually, let's do this instead. Let's make this make it an option. Maybe I won't want it to be an option, but we'll do that to start out with. Because initially when we create the context, that hasn't been set up. And so we'll set it up later. Because these callbacks have to happen at certain times, so we have to be a little less than ideal with some of the stuff, and that's fine. Not too bummed about that. We'll fix the code that uses it later, but I want to fix the code that sets it first. I basically want to create the buffer here. There's no reason to do it earlier or later than this, because we know what the pixel format is, so we might as well do it then. Yeah, it's really this display pixels thing too, so this will be real easy. And here we can match actual pixel format, and then we just do the enumerations here. So easy. Did I do the order of these wrong again? I tend to do that. Oh no, it's because this isn't a U size. That's fine. Good enough. Yeah, and then here, we can do a couple things. First of all, output bytes per pixel we don't even need until later anyway. This isn't going to change either, so we don't care about that. Is NLL stable yet? I don't think it is. We can't get rid of that yet, I think. I actually don't like this as an option. I think I'll just do this anyway. And it's fine if we recreate it when we load a game. I don't really care about that. That'll just make this a little easier. So I think here we should just need the buffer here and then which type it was. If we just have the pixel buffer, I think we get both and we can do this. So here's what I'm thinking. We'll do this. Let pixel buffer and output bytes per pixel is this. And we can do mute self dot video output frame buffer. And then we should get one of these buffer, and then we can do, whoops, like this. Output bytes per pixel, and we can just do again mem size of U16. I think this works with the borrowing because this will just expect a reference anyway. Seiko07, thanks for the follow. Man, how did my face get so off center there? Good enough. Was that what it's doing? Because yeah, first of all, this should have been ref mute here on these guys. But yeah, I probably don't need this here. I'm so bad at remembering this kind of syntax. So what didn't like here? Oh, yeah. Well, no, this should be fine because the pixel buffer here. Especially a pixel buffer and a U size. Oh, ha, these are functions. Whoops. Yeah, you guys are a step ahead of me. But that's not bad because then we have everything we need down here. So we don't need to do this now. And then we should be able to here pixel buffer. And then this one it doesn't like. You know, I'm wondering if I should just do the match again. Because then we need this as a pointer. Which I can't get while it's borrowed here. Or I probably can, actually. Because I don't think as_mute pointer does a borrow. I'm thinking that. I think that will actually work. So we can guarantee safety here. That's not a problem. Right. So then the issue here is that these are different types. But we can do the casts here too. That's fine. And these should all match. And then we can do this. That's pretty cool. Oh, or it isn't. I think the issue here, as_mute pointer probably takes in mute self. Hold on here. Yeah, I think it's because it takes mute self and it gets borrowed here. So I'll just reorder these. It should be fine. Because then this will only borrow for the duration of this function call, and then it will yield the thing there, and then we should be okay. Let's do that. That should be fine. Sweet. So now this shouldn't break anymore. So we did get 565, and it appears to be correct. He'll do it again. I want to just run this a bunch of times. Here we got 565 again. Again, we want to be setting 565. It's recommended that that's the format we use, so that is the one we want to try and set. Okay, yeah, it seems to be working now. Oh yeah, we have the retries, don't we? So it's probably going to work a lot. Let's remove the retries while we're testing this. Yeah, I also want to go look at that box again, but I want to make this work first. That's true. Let's just want to comment on these. Just to be a little clear about where these values come from. Okay, so this time the pixel format got through. I want to see it. I want to see that call not get through and then see it work. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. It looks like we're okay. I'm guessing too, if I pause this again, it fucks up on the colors, which that just seems to be something with the front end. It just doesn't seem to understand. Like, it seems to always, if you have a 16-bit pixel format, it seems to always assume that it's 565 when you pause. It seems that XRGB 8888 is fine. But yeah. That's fine, though, because it won't crash. It just looks like crap. But I think that's fine. That's definitely not our our code doing anything wrong, so I'm okay with that. Wait, did this get through this time? It should, because this is definitely doing our retries. And then, yeah, before I move on, we can look at some of this. So yeah, it is interesting that it does into raw here. First, I'm just gonna do this baby steps. We're gonna do one first, where it still boxes it. I think that makes sense. Also, I'm just gonna check the Libretro header really quick to see what it actually expects. Yeah, so it is a pixel format pointer. When would it do that, Decius? This box here should be perfectly fine. It should totally outlive this call, which is all we need it to do. We can just do that. Or no, I did want that. Disuse, I tried removing the boxing entirely earlier and it totally broke. And so I'm trying to do one thing at a time until it works. Right, yeah, we need mute here. And then we should be able to dereference that. No, the other way. It's totally the other way. Like that. All right, the call got through there. So as far as I'm concerned, this takes a reference to the thing inside the box. If we just had this, if we just do this and remove this, that should also work, right? Those should be equivalent. And that worked. So I don't know what I did earlier, but the easiest thing here that we can do also, we can just make this mute. And that should be fine. And yeah, that worked. Okay, I'm convinced. Done. That's annoying. Or I'm annoyed, but it's done now. All right. Yeah, someone asked about that NLL thing. Pretty sure I needed it here because this sync needs a reference to this until it's used, which is down here. So I'm pretty sure this was right. Maybe we don't need that anymore, though. Because before we were borrowing that other buffer, and I don't think we are anymore for that entire scope. So I think we're actually okay removing that. Rad. Look at our core getting awesome. Don't need to add more to that commit message because it was already explained in the code. Sick. Then that's definitely support all pixel formats done in our tracking issue. Look at that. A whole checkbox. That's nice. So I still want to look at this. Reduce allocations and copies in the AV output chain. We've made a lot of progress there, but we still have, you know, our top level pixel buffer that we're using up here. And then when we call this video refresh thing, that's still going to do another copy from that buffer out into the front end. Or the front end's going to be doing that, of course. So there should be... Let me try to find this again. In the Libretro API, you just search pixel format. There's this get current software frame buffer. And again, it is experimental, so we need to be able to, like, we still want to have our buffer allocated because we need to be able to still work when this function isn't supported. So I think all we have to do is just call this. Returns a pre-allocated frame buffer, which the core can use for rendering the frame into when not using set hardware render, which we never set that, so that should be fine. The frame buffer returned from this call must not be used after the current call to retro run returns. That's also fine. The goal of this call is to allow zero copy behavior, where a core can render directly into video memory, avoiding extra bandwidth cost by copying memory from core to video memory. If this call succeeds and the core renders into it, the frame buffer pointer and pitch can be passed to retro refresh t. So we're still going to do that same function call. It's just we'll use this buffer instead. If the buffer from get current software frame buffer is to be used, the core must pass the exact same pointer as returned by get current software frame buffer, i.e. passing a pointer which is offset from the buffer is undefined. That's not a problem. Width, height, and pitch parameters must also match exactly to the values obtained from get current software frame buffer. It is possible for front end to return a different pixel format than the one used in set pixel format. Or yeah, for the front end to have a different pixel format here, and that should be fine. This can happen if the front end needs to perform conversion. So the fact that we just support all of them should just make this really nice. It is still valid for core to render to a different buffer, even if get current software frame buffer succeeds. A front end must make sure that the pointer obtained from this function is writable and readable. Yeah, so it should just be a matter of trying to call this every frame. And if it gives us a buffer, we'll use that. Otherwise, we'll use the one we allocated. And I don't really care about, like, if we allocate our frame buffer and then never use it. I'm not that concerned about that. It's not a terrible amount of memory. And realistically, with the core as expensive as this one is, it's not gonna run realistically in an environment that's constrained enough that extra frame buffer allocation is gonna hurt us. So I think we're gonna be okay there. Really quick though, I'm gonna be right back and use the restroom. And I'm back. So, yeah, I think all I really need to do is we need to mirror this retro frame buffer struct first. Which should be pretty simple here. These access flags are set by the core. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Let's just try not setting it and see what happens. Initial contents are unspecified. That's also fine. Yeah, I'm guessing this is going to be populated when we get it from that function. Then we just have to obey whatever it says here. And in fact, we don't really care about these access flags. I might not even encode them in our little wrapper here, because that should be equivalent anyway. So if I just go in and do, where's my callbacks thing? Again, the way things are organized in this setup, in this code, I'm not entirely happy with, but it's fine. I mean, I've just been moving things around, and this is just where we're at so far. So I think all we need to do is we need repr C here, because we need to use a C representation. And this will just be, what was it called? Let's call it frame buffer. And then here, I have a data, which is in mute C void. We have the width, which I'm guessing are there types in libc for like whatever unsigned int would be? Because it just says unsigned. So I'm guessing that's unsigned int. We kind of need to make sure we get that right. It's actually annoying because they use like size t in other places, so they really should have done that better, frankly, but yeah. Because we need like a C unsigned int or something just to make sure it's going to be the same. It looks like there's a C uint, which is, I think, what we want here. Because that's going to be distinctly different than uint32t, if I'm reading this correctly. So I think that'll be fine. Then we're going to have pitch, which is is there a C size t? There's just a size t, so we'll use that. Yeah, this also retro pixel format. We want to actually decorate this to make sure it's going to be the same thing. They use int max for the size of this. The size should be int. So how do you do this again in Rust? Rust enum specific representation. It seems to be I don't think you're supposed to do repr C on enums. But we could do, for example, C int, which should give us the same thing that they're doing. So I think that would be okay. And then we can do format. Can they do repr C if they're trivial? Let's just try that. See if that breaks. And then let's do that for now. It should be okay. You think so, move away? I mean, I guess because it's not guaranteed to be one of the values we've covered. That's probably a good point, actually. If instead we do a C int here, that is probably better. Because then we can check that it's one of these values, and otherwise we can at least crash properly. It's going to be read by me, so. Yeah, it's better to avoid the undefined behavior. I think this is a good move. Yeah. Then we want, yeah, so we already have this already. I have this here, subject format. I might as well wrap this here. Doesn't really hurt. Yeah, why not? I think it's just that, actually, and then we'll do this. We'll have it either return one of these or not. We can always copy this struct, is what I'm thinking. Because we'll just do a shallow copy and all the information will still be the same. Alternatively, since we're going to get a pointer to it, we might as well actually just have a reference here. That's probably what we actually want. Yeah, I like that. And then we can do this. Okay, I guess actually, here's what I think. I think we actually do need to set these flags. Just looking at this. Because we're supposed to pass in a pointer to the struct. I'm not too worried about that move away, because we'll basically just get the pointer and then write through that. So I'm not too worried about that. I think this is the best way to just describe that it's basically a pointer, but you can mutate it from Rust. Since the thing that we're passing, yeah, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, we do pass a pointer to one of these objects. So we actually do need the flags. I don't like using bit flags in Rust. I might not even do this as an enum, actually. Because if we're going to be setting the flags as constants, or as... Because it'll look like this. We're going to do cuint anyway. So I might as well not have this as an enum anyway. And then I can do... memory access right, cuint is 1 shift left 0 like it is there. Yeah, I like that actually. Probably could have done that like this as well, but this is fine. So we actually don't need to set anything for a lot of these, because it looks like the front end will set this one, but we do need to set the access flags. This also should be read, I think. And then I can set all these here. Set null from that because that's going to be set by the front end. Width and the height is actually set by the core. So we'll take those in here. Pitch should be set by the front end. Format should also be set by the front end. Access flags is going to be set by us. I think we will only ever actually write this, so this should be good enough for us. And in terms of the other ones, that's going to be set by the front end. So then if we do environment command, what was that again? Get current software frame buffer. And this crap again. Which is just the pointer to that. So that should be good. And then we check this. So if it was successful, then we're going to be sum and mute FB. Yeah, this actually won't work to have a reference like that because that won't outlive this. I was thinking that that the environment would give us give us one of these objects, but it looks like we have to create it, and then we pass it to the environment, and it populates the certain fields. So then we do this. And then we either return sum of FB or none. Is that std mem pointer, I think? Or is it not? That's fine. All right, so then what we want to do can you do a mutable binding like that here? Nice. Because we'll do that, and then we'll do... Actually, no, that isn't what we want to do. We're probably also going to have to change this pixel buffer to include pitch. Because it may not necessarily be what we expect. And that's okay. Yeah, we'll probably have to do that. Anyway, because what I'm thinking about this... So this output bytes per pixel. Yeah, so that's actually used to get the pitch. So we can do a little bit better here. We're gonna do this. I think it was that. And so we're either going to get sum of the frame buffer, otherwise we do this. I don't really mind just doing that crap. Just get kind of long and ugly, but you just split them up. Because then down here, we do pitch. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and then this part's wrong. This actually becomes pretty easy because what we can do is this. Match FB dot format. And I think we can do this, where we match it against these values and just cast them. it's going to be, again, a Cint. Again, this was data is already in the right format. And then I think the pixel buffer stuff works too, because this just needs a slice. And we can do a slice from raw parts there. Which shouldn't take ownership. It's also going to be unsafe, but I don't really care about that. It's important that I check my Slack messages on stream. Oh, it's just me committing. That should work, because we can take the height times the pitch and get the proper thing here. So let's do that. We need to do... And then we have the... Is there a from raw parts mute? And there is. And then the size again, it should just be... Probably need some type conversions there, but I'll let the compiler yell at me. And then... Yeah, and of course we also need to build the pixel buffer around that. And then the pitch, which is going to be fb.pitch. That's pretty cool. Hey, love like Semtex. I don't think you missed much that was particularly exciting, at least. Depends on what you're into, though. And at this point, I kind of want to just panic. Because we can't really do anything if it gives us a format that we don't understand. And just assuming that it's some other kind of format is a really bad idea, because that means we could be reading bogus parts of memory. The only thing that's really crap about that, I mean, other than panicking, which in general is not very fun, it might be that they extend the scenum in a future Libretro version, which they haven't done really, so we probably don't have to worry about that really. Yeah, I think panicking here is okay. Or actually, let's do... Hey, Dark Second. Yeah, exactly. Love Semtex. Yeah, I need to make all these fields public. I don't think it likes casts here. Is there a pain? It's more like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do on Thursdays. You know, since we know that the formats are going to be here, I don't really care if we just write these. Oh, whoops. Or did I just not write it right? Really? Did I not? Yeah, maybe I just was an idiot here. Or maybe I was not an idiot and I just forgot the syntax. Probably the former. Yeah, I still think it doesn't like our casts. So, screw it. Not a problem. Whoa. Let's do these. That should be fine. And then, yeah, the size we probably need to cast. In fact, it probably won't let us multiply these without casting both to U size or something. We should actually cast both just in case, because we don't know. We're not guaranteed that those are actually going to be the same types on different platforms. So let's just do that. And then, yeah, these are going to be unsafe as well. So we need to probably going to yell at... Oh, no, actually, it's not going to yell at me because of this. So we're actually already in an unsafe context, which is fine because we are doing a lot of this pointer crap. So that's the right context. And then this should mostly just work. And I say mostly for good reason. Because I'm fairly certain our video stuff assumes a certain pitch here. And that should be easy to fix, actually, because we should just be able to do the pitch here. Yeah, let's just do that. I'm not that interested in making this safer, Dark Second, frankly, because this is right on the boundary between Libretro and our code anyway, so it's fine. Like, we're implementing a C API, so this is kind of where unsafe code belongs anyway. As far as I'm concerned. You know, and then we don't need pitch here either, because it's going to be part of the pixel buffer. Wait, why am I doing width times pitch? Oh yeah, first of all, this should be height times pitch here, because this is the size of the buffer. So first of all, that was wrong. And then we want the pitch here. That's what we want. Okay. Because it didn't just give us a size in that structure, did it? I don't think it did. No, it just gives us width, height, and pitch and the data. So we just have to assume that that's what it is. And it's going to be. That's fine. Yeah. So our compiler's going to yell at me because it doesn't know what pitch is, which is here. Probably going to yell at me first because this is wrong. No, that's fine. We're going to have issues down here. Now, these are going to be fine. Assuming that we're just going to write out 0 to all these anyway. Maybe this is a bit superfluous because we should only have to do pitch by height, and those may not match. But I'm assuming that we can still write everything between there. I think that's a safe assumption. Yeah, and then here. Gonna be this. Now I'm hoping a lot of these expressions get lifted. They may not. We might have to check disassembly later. Which is going to be a good idea to do that anyway. But I would like to do a separate optimization pass, so I'm not going to worry about it now. Now that should be U size, pixel X and pixel Y. Why is this getting a U16? Oh, yeah, because U16 is the buffer type. And yeah, it's not implemented for U32, which is the issue. So we get these annoying casts, but it's not that bad, really. I think that's okay. Let's just run it and see if it works. Hopefully we don't just get a psych fault. Which is entirely possible. And I'm guessing this was messed up. Yeah, of course it didn't find pitch here. This is fine. And now I'm guessing this will almost work, except we're borrowing it here. So I might have to pull it off of the sink, which I don't really care about. That's not that bad. Just do sync.buffer.pitch. Pitch is private. Then we'll probably get the borrowing crap. Or there it is. That's what I thought. So we should be able to do buffer. That's fine. There, I tried to write outside the buffer. I wonder why, actually. Did I get these in the wrong order? I don't think I did. Zero, 1, 2. Also, this was number of elements in from raw parts. Pretty sure it is. And right now, as it is with pitch, this is actually going to be in bytes. Yes, this math is actually wrong. And these, assuming these are constant folded, this divide should be strength reduced. We should be okay. And I forgot to call the functions again. Oh. That shouldn't change anything, though. The same one. Now, I'm wondering which of these it actually did. Yeah, because that's actually another thing is... That might make sense. We're not supposed to multiply by pitch here. Times that as well, because we're indexing by element. That might explain what we're doing wrong too. Oh. Did not like that. Right, because we need mem. The cool part is... Oh, come on, really? Why did it think this was... Index bool? What? The hell happened there? Does this really change if I do the turbo fish? Because that's weird. But I'm probably doing something stupid here. First of all, I think I'm writing this wrong. No, that should actually be it. Turbo fish! Alright, so now we're not riding out of bounds, but we're surely not riding to the right place either. Ah, I know why. It's order operations. This should be here. Or not. So it's... I think I actually had that wrong, because it's... What did I have before? Like that? That to me seems correct. This was the resolution before. But now it's the pitch, which I'm pretty sure again was in bytes. Because that's what we did here. You know, I actually think that I want the pitch here in these syncs. I want this pitch to be based on just the number of elements. In which case, we should be able to remove this crap here. And we should be able to adjust the pitch accordingly when we build the frame buffer. Ah, except then we need to get the pitch back here again. Hey, agent. So I might do this again. But I really think this should be correct. Again, assuming this is indexing elements. You guys know each other? Or is that just a joke about his name? Isn't it interesting that it only shows like the right half of the screen? That to me, I think the pitch is half as wide as it should be. Let me see, actually. Yeah, so it says, Libretro says that the pitch is number of bytes. So dividing the pitch here by the size of our elements should make sense. Yeah, we know it's this pixel format, so if I fix it here, we should be able to get it to work with the other ones. If I just don't do that, does that work? No, then we're out of bounds. That's annoying. So y times the pitch in number of elements plus x. Should be exactly what this should be. We divide here because this was the size of the elements. So the total length of the buffer should be height times pitch divided by the element size. And then we have the raw pitch here. Also in bytes. Whereas here, though, right, yeah, because this is the pitch in bytes again. So we multiply here because it's resolution x times this, and that aligns with this pitch. Whereas this one here, we already have the size, which is, again, display times x times y. Yeah, x times y for this, and that should be fine. And this is x times the element size, which is pitch. So here we do, this is our y, and that should be times x, which, and this is number of elements, so pitch divided by the size of each element in bytes should give us the same thing as the width here, multiplied by height. So that should be fine for our buffer size. I might print some of this stuff out just to see. Although I'm basically 100% certain that it's this case. Let's just do this. Or, I don't want to do it in here. We'll do it. How often does it get this pitch? We can just do it here. I'm guessing this is the code path it's hitting. Oh, we want to have lots of things in the beginning of this line so we can pick it out easier. Like that. That's what I want. Yeah, that's fine for just printing this. Okay, then I'll break this up. Okay. Why aren't we seeing that output? Is that not the code path it's hitting? Must not be. Maybe it's this one then. The plot thickens. Oh. And that's fine because that feature is experimental, so we need to be able to support it with and without that. So that's okay. Let's comment that out just to be sure. Oh, come on. That probably came from there. Ugh. All right. Pitch is 768. .384. Oh, that's our display resolution, isn't it? Yeah, display resolution x times 2 is 768. That's definitely the correct pitch. So if we take 768 by our height, which should be 224, Is that double what we're getting? Whoops. 768, which is the pitch we got, and that's 2 times our resolution X, which is right, because that's our resolution X times the size of a U16, which is 2 bytes. So that's correct. Again, times what do we have again? 768 by our display resolution, which is 224, and we get 172,032. Now I think that's, if we divide that by 2, we get 86016, which is what we're getting right now for the buffer size. So it looks like the buffer size here is wrong. It's half as big as it should be, isn't it? Seems weird, because didn't we have this right before? I certainly thought we did. No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's actually correct, because, again, that's 768 by 224 is our size in bytes, but again, because our elements are U shorts, divide that by 2, and this is correct, actually. So this is correct, the length in terms of number of elements. Should be fine in terms of number of elements. So if we take, in here again, we know we're hitting this case. Ah, it's this. I had the order of these wrong. This was dividing by 4 instead of dividing by 2. Now we're golden. Okay. Nice. Now, the only problem I have with this is I was really hoping that this would work with our get current software frame buffer. Hey, Drew2. But it doesn't seem like that's happening. Thanks, Drew. Now, I wouldn't actually mind checking this in untested. Because clearly it is trying to get the frame buffer and it's failing. And the math looks right to me. I don't want to stick this on yet another branch. I don't think we need to do the experimental stuff with the flag. I think that's just listed that way. In order to tell implementers that that's experimental. I don't think that actually means anything. Technically. It's worth checking, though. Searching through the header here. Yeah, it just says that if it's set, it's not part of the official API yet, and that's it. So, I mean, we could also just take that to read, or we could just take that to mean that we don't have to support it, but I mean, I did the work now, so I'd rather just look over the math one more time and feel okay about it. Honestly. I'm not too worried about testing these code paths either, because like the math is basically the same, and it was a very clear mistake that I made. So, I mean, I feel okay about this, to be honest. But it looks like we're not going to get a zero copy path just because it's not supported by this front end, which we did everything we could, and we changed our pixel buffer abstraction to include pitch, which is a good idea anyway, because then we're able to support things like this, even though we don't get the support from the front end. Fine by me. I will, though, right before I move on, I just want to check that we have this enum right for this call. I'm pretty sure we do. But what a crappy reason to miss out on that, if that were the case. No, according to this, we're fine. We have it right. Okay, then I'll commit it. Yeah, so that at least gives us potentially a zero copy path for video. We still want to have a zero copy path for audio output, which this doesn't give us. We still need to do that, and I'm fine with that. What is happening here? That's probably building. I'm not concerned about that right now, but I think we'll want to do the audio later. So that'll probably be next week. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with the progress today. Just doing this, I feel pretty good about having done. And again, before I merge all this stuff, I'm going to go back to the command line front end and fix all of this up so that that ends up bootstrapping this stuff properly. Which isn't going to be too bad. I'm just happy to see this working now. Oops. I had to test full screen. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to do today. All in all, this wasn't too bad. And this definitely finishes the output path for video, so I'm pretty happy about that. And the other thing that was cool is that we at least found out that when we call that set pixel format and it fails, that it actually told us that it failed, and having this retry here makes me feel a lot better, so that we know we're doing everything we can to set this format, and then still being able to fall back when it fails. So this is pretty great. Anyway, thanks guys for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.